fascination with a virtual reality world has gone on for, well, ages. For decades, there's been an interest in finding ways to feel like you're not in this world. Because let's be honest, real life can be a bit rubbish sometimes. Look at these Victorian Viewmasters displayed in the Shell Grotto in Margate. They're meant to allow the viewer to have a glimpse to another place without actually going there. The slides here show shots from the Shell Grotto, perfect for making you feel like you're there all over again. So Shelley. Look at these Viewmaster slides I've got straight from the 80s. All the thrills of Mac 2, oh boy.
Let's dance. God damn it.
I'll be honest, this thing is crap. And this is massive false advertising. But these Viewmaster things are still being made today, so I guess I can't really badmouth it. Weird to think this thing was the great-grandfather of tat like the R-Zone, the Victormax headset, whatever this useless chunk of plastic is. Mate, we are really keen on not being in our real world, aren't we?
I might talk about this thing in another video, but that's the intro for this one done. Let's get on with it.
The Atari Jaguar was released in 1993 and discontinued in 1995 or 1996 depending on what reports you believe, and it's one of those retro consoles that divides retro fans. I know a lot of people love it.
Now, I personally think that the Atari Jaguar, as it was released to the public and not accounting for what it could have done, which is all other people go on about as if that makes up for its massive failings, was dreadful. But, whoa, no, it's just my opinion. It's just my opinion.
Alright, if you don't want to watch my video on the Jaguar, then basically it was a console made to compete against Nintendo and Sega, but it was going to be a 32-bit system called the Panther, but they rushed changes on it and tried to make out like it was a 64-bit in the same way the Mega Drive was 16-bit, and it wasn't 64-bit in the same way at all. And the games were average to middling or just plain awful, and also the controller sucks baubles because it was meant for the originally planned 32-bit system.
Plus, the Jaguar games are so intense because the Jaguar system delivers real-world, real-time gameplay.
That is just my opinion based upon presented facts. Okay, don't leave me a 4,000-word comment telling me how much I should like the Jaguar, because someone did do that last time, and then sent me an email, just in case I missed that. Oh, Jesus!
During the Jaguar's lifespan, the company Virtuality got Atari's attention after it had enjoyed success and somewhat of a PR explosion over its 1991 VR machines. Virtuality's VR machines cropped up in arcades, dishing out the pure novelty of virtual reality in a way that had never been seen by the public before. Kitted out with a massive headset, users could be transported into a gaming world. I mean, no, the graphics were far from realistic and the units had a lot of issues, but especially the multiplayer functions in the games were enjoyable. In fact, you can get all the details in my video about Virtuality games, linked in the description. That's mentions of 2 of my other videos slipped in there. Cheeky little insertion.
Because this one is about what was going to be the home console version, a version made specifically for the Atari Jaguar.
When I visited Leicester Retro Computer Museum, while talking to one of the volunteers and owner of the Virtuality machine, Simon Marston, he just casually mentioned that he had a Jaguar VR in his car.
Have you played a Jaguar VR?
I've got one. Do you want to go get it?
Oh my god!
These things are super rare, so to have the opportunity to have a look at one was awesome in its hideous glory. Look at the state of it. Absolutely boss. This is not what was planned to be the final release version. This was a model used to impress Atari, so it is technically still the prototype version. In fact, the production version doesn't appear to have ever been made. One of the main things about the headset from the off is how heavy it is. The Virtuality headsets are of course very heavy, but if you're going to shove all the gubbins you need from this into this smaller version, there needs to be something to balance it out, because this thing is about as front heavy as Pamela Anderson. No diss, Pamela, love your work. Because of this, the plastic eye shield instantly starts digging into your face. It's sharp even after all these years, and it's a very tough plastic. Within seconds, it was starting to hurt. Now, the design did try to counter this with foam rests around the eyes, which on this one has decayed in more than 20 years since it was made. I'm not sure it would have been all that effective even if it was all there now, though. It feels like wearing a baseball cap with a cat sitting on the visor, or a small child. I don't know, make your own joke here. Now, of course, it's very likely that that kind of thing would have been dealt with before release. Well, maybe. Honestly, since it was Atari that released the Jaguar, I'm a little bit doubtful.
Sadly, I can't tell you firsthand what it's actually like to play on a Jaguar VR, because the one that Simon has doesn't have all of the gubbins it needs to actually work. That would include a sensor that you'd put near or on top of the TV, which talks to the headset.
It seems like the remaining prototypes are only able to present the game in a few colours at a time. The red and black headsets that still work now reportedly have red and black or grey graphics. Anyway, this prototype headset didn't impress Atari, so Virtuality toddled off to make another prototype, which is agreed to be this blue one. This one had better resolution and displayed in blue and blacky grey. And while all this was going on, games were being developed for it. This one actually got released, Missile Command 3D, also owned by Simon and here in this unopened box. Mint in box action. I've got a copy here that was given to me by Re-Enthused. Well, he gave it to Nostalgia Nerd and I took it. Peter, I've got your game. Also, one of my rats nibbled it.
I know, that's appalling. I normally take better care of my games. But you with kids and pets, I mean, come on. They all mess up your stuff sometimes.
Here's Virtuality's logo on the back of the box. The instruction book doesn't mention Virtuality or a VR headset at all. In the credits at the back, Virtuality are listed as co-creators of this game, so obviously the work was there. They were also working on a Jaguar version of their game Zone Hunter, but that never saw the light of day.
Awesome! So we've already got a game that we can play with the Jaguar VR. I cannot wait for this thing to be released in autumn 1995. Wait.
Here it is at E3 in 1995. Looks pretty awesome. Except that's not a Jaguar headset at all. It's a Virtuality headset, running on Virtuality arcade hardware and the Virtuality game software, covered in Jaguar branding. According to Next Generation magazine, at the event, Atari would only tell users it wasn't a Jaguar when they were asked. And if the punters wanted to play a real Jaguar VR, they could go to a back room and play Missile Command.
What the hell, Atari? Obviously, with all of this Jaguar branding, everybody's gonna just assume that this powerful arcade machine is actually a Jaguar VR. That is damn sneaky, guys. Why didn't you just set up the VR with Missile Command? It can't be because it was crap. Can it? Can it? Can it?
Whoa, that was awesome. And that's really a Jaguar. Like, wow, I've got a Jaguar at home and I'd love to be able to play those VR games on it.
Yeah.
Is it a Jaguar?
What, this? Is this a Jaguar?
Yeah, is this thing running on an Atari Jaguar?
This VR thing right here?
Yes, this VR thing right here.
No. No, it is not.
Oh, well, is there an actual Jaguar VR here?
Come with me. You can play Missile Command on it. Do you want to play Missile Command?
Not really.
Play Missile Command!
If Atari were obviously this nervous of the response to the actual headset, it's not surprising really that the autumn 1995 release date came and went. But work continued according to all the hype in magazines. Meanwhile, Atari's frantic, flapping response to the industry interest in CD console gaming finally saw the light of day in September 1995, which was when the VR headset was supposed to be released. The Jaguar CD was more than a year late also. You're seeing a theme here, right? Here's a pre-order list in December 1995 in Game Fan magazine. Jaguar VR, along with a bunch of games that were gonna be for the VR, Boogie Ball, Dactyl Nightmare. Atari seemed to be doubling down on getting this stuff out. But the story is that while Virtuality went off to deal with some of the problems with the red headset, Atari ditched Virtuality in late 1995. like when pre-order lists like this were still being published. In an interview around the time, and reported in Edge magazine in January 1996, an Atari spokesman said, "R&D on the Jag HMD continues, just not with virtuality." The spokesperson also said that Atari were opening up a division for PC software, while also still working on the Jaguar, specifically the Jaguar 2. Yeah, they really were planning a Jaguar 2. You know, it's easy to laugh at the daft moves that corporations made that eventually saw their downfall. We should probably take a look at ourselves before taking the mick out of other people. Oh wait, if I did that I wouldn't have a job. Ah, look at this thing that didn't do very well. Subscribe?
Bob here's got some time to get it together, and so do you.
Well, since the Jaguar was a flop console for Atari, you can guess that the problem with the headset was money. In an interview with Next Generation magazine in July 1995, Sam Tramiel, the CEO of Atari, actually admitted that the Jaguar had not been profitable at all for Atari, even though the Jaguar 2 was already planned and penned in for release later the following year.
And once you experience the power of the Jaguar, you'll know in a cybersecond it's a whole new game.
In the same interview, Tramiel said, "If it doesn't work out as we planned, we won't sell it." Which is fine, but then why go to the effort of the hype? The E3 setup, it's like they put everything into it just to look like they were doing it, to look like they had the edge against Nintendo and Sony. Did they even tell Virtuality that they were going to ditch them while they were working on the blue headset?
Apparently, no. And the ditching came right out of the blue.
And then the Jaguar VR was formally cancelled pretty early into 1996, along with the Jaguar 2. I couldn't find any info as to why Atari just ditched Virtuality without any warning. I spent hours flipping through online archives of interviews and magazines and found nothing. But it really does seem like Atari just dead-ass ghosted Virtuality.
Hey, come on now, we've all been ghosted. You can do better than them. This is their loss. Come on, look, I made you a Tinder profile. Let's go out and let's have some fun tonight, yeah? Look, IBM, swipe right. Takara, swipe right. Philips, yeah, there we go.
It probably wasn't much comfort to Virtuality, but it seems like Atari were kind of in the habit of being utter desks to the companies they worked with around that time. And Virtuality were not the only company that suddenly found themselves abandoned without warning. Here's just one example. Dactyl Joust, which was gonna have a cart and a CD version for the Jaguar, was developed by High Voltage Software and was gonna be released in November 1995. But then randomly and without warning, Atari stopped paying for the development halfway through 1995. You can see the memos around Dactyl Joust scanned on AtariMania.com, link in the description. It really does make for some interesting reading. It really looks that by the end of 1995, Atari reps had bugger all idea what was going on with the contract, and they were even asking the developers. Even though, like I said, Atari had stopped paying High Voltage Software and left them hanging for 7 months. Now, I'm not a business person, but I'm pretty sure that cutting off companies you were paying to make games for you without so much as a Dear John letter is kind of an ass move. You hear that, Tramiel? Ass move. Bad, Tramiel. Bad. Who were the company Atari replaced Virtuality with? I also spent hours and hours trying to find just one mention of who that might be in any online magazine archive that I could find, and then I rustled about in my old collection of Edge magazines too. It seems all publications were able to do at the time was speculate, there was nothing solid. But I'm willing to guess Atari didn't find any company to take over. They maybe didn't get round to it before cancelling the project, or maybe they were going to ditch it anyway, but after all the hype about the headset, it was kind of a bit awkward. We all know how the Atari Jaguar shell moulds were sold on to be used to make dental equipment. But how about the Jaguar VR? Did this thing get sold on? Well, kind of. Not in the same way that the Jaguar shells did though. These prototypes were mostly destroyed. This remaining one is number 6. There is definitely at least one remaining blue version knocking about somewhere, and there's a handful of these black and red ones. With Atari ditching the VR project before it could even be made, that left Virtuality with a headset they had entirely the rights to, and a lot of time, and a lot of effort, and a lot of money down the hole.
So with one dead VR project and the rights to some unwanted headsets, what would Virtuality do next? You'll have to watch my next video to find out, when I'll tell you about the way that Jaguar VR did finally, kind of, make it to the shelves. And it's bad. Oh, it's bad. Subscribe!
Thank you so much for taking a chance on me and watching my video. Your support means a huge amount to me. You're awesome.